Peace, peace. What's going on, everyone? What's going on? This is Vitamin the Governor, live from Brooklyn, New York. And today we have a very, very special guest. But before we go there, I would like to thank everyone for their continued support of the channel. We have much more stuff coming out in the future. So thank you, everyone, for their continued support. I'm looking at the analytics. Although I haven't put out too much content recently, people are still watching, people are still liking it. So I really, really want to thank everyone worldwide for their continued support. Today we have a very, very special guest with us. Someone who's a world traveler, someone who's been in Iraq for over 4 decades, someone who's been organizing events, someone who has a worldwide crew with a worldwide presence. And he is here to talk about his history and his story. I have none other than Papo 774.
Hey man, thank you for having me, man.
What's going on, man?
Thank you. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Again, thank you for having me here to be able to share a little bit of my story and speak my piece. I want to give a big shout out and a lot of love to my crew members, Dynamic Spinners. Been around since 1975, and we have grown. We're worldwide, and we're always representing. And I keep telling my crew members, always show love, always give love, man. But when you're on the dance floor, go hard.
Exactly. That's great advice to give to an up-and-coming rocker. I want to start with your name, because your name is interesting. You know, when you hear up-rock names too much, when I hear your name, first thing that comes to my mind is kind of graffiti.
Yeah.
So what does the 774 come in? What does your name come in? What's the origins of your name?
Well, a lot of these guys are still kind of active around that came from Bushwick, know me as Papo and JR. But that's because they came later on in the late 70s to 80s when Freestyle was big in Bushwick. But I had a good friend of mine, one of the first guys that we started hanging out tight was Jose. And he lived at 311 Melrose, so he used to write Jose 311. And then my boy Benji used to write JK1. And when I started hanging out, and I was like, yo, we gotta get you a name or something, whatever. I said, well, and they asked me, what's your address? And my address where I live is 74 Star Street, right there in the corner of Wilson and Star Street. My address is 74, and then he asks me, okay, what's your favorite number, your lucky number, whatever? And I said, 7. So he goes, there you go, Papo 774. So that's how that came about.
Nice.
And what we did was we used to tag the streets. You know, we would tag the trains, but we never did pieces. You know, we were just taggers.
Just the tags.
And we went by TSK, the Street Killers. And we used to just kill the streets as much as we can, tagging up and stuff. So that's how the name came about. And this was early, like 72, 73, around that time. You know, when rock, well, not rock, but burning was being introduced to us, you know, at that time. Okay. So that's how the name came about.
So let's take it all the way back to the beginning. Where were you born, and what area or what neighborhood were you raised in?
So I was born up in like Tompkins Park up there. That's where my mother lived. I was actually born in Brooklyn Hospital. Okay. Right after I was born, my mother moved to Minahan between Knickerbocker and Wilson. In Minahan is where I grew up. I went to Catholic school for 8 years. I went to St. Barbara's, actually. I was a student at St. Barbara's.
Oh, so it was a school at the time?
Yeah, it was a Catholic school. Okay. Yeah, it was a Catholic school, and I belonged part of the church and the whole thing there. I lived there all the way till I was about 11 to 12 years old. At that time, we moved over to Troutman Street, you know. My mother moved out. But when I did live on Minahan, there was a bunch of us, like Duz from Touch of Rock. I grew up, he lived right next door to me. Him, his brother Reggie, and I were close. You know, had a lot of other friends out there. And at the time that we lived there, the Spanish Kings were pretty big in that area there, like on Grove.
And who were the Spanish Kings for people that aren't familiar with that?
Spanish King was just another gang, you know, from back then. You know, you had the Black Spades, you had, you know, the Dirty Ones and all that stuff. But the Spanish Kings were kind of big in that area there. The Devil Rebels were more towards Troutman Street and Star Street in that area. So, you know, Knickerbocker's long. Yeah. So, Minahan here, Troutman here. So, so I kind of became like a baby king for a little bit. Nothing serious, you know, it was just like, oh, I'm a baby king, you know. Never got to wear colors, didn't do all that. There was one time that this one gang, I don't remember, came through our street, and we thought we were gonna rumble, you know what I mean? And it's funny because on top of my roof, where I lived on Manhattan, we lined up a bunch of bricks for situations like that, you know, to throw bricks down and stuff. So I remember one time when they came down the street, I ran up there with my boy, and we were just laying there waiting to see if anything broke out. But nothing came out of it, nothing happened, you know, it was that. A little later on, like I said, when I turned about 12 years old, I moved over to Charlton Street where my sister lived. And that's where I met Eddie, Manny, Diana.
What type of household did you grow in? Did you grow up in a household that had musical influence, where maybe your mother, your father, or uncles played music?
Yeah, that's a good question, but my uncles, my dad, they did a lot of Spanish stuff, you know. They played a lot of music for like the Three Kings Day, for the holidays, so they did their guitars and stuff. They would get together and, you know, drink their beer and just, you know, play music. But as far as like dancing and any kind of talent within my family, nobody really was into that. I wasn't a dancer. I was very quiet. I went to Catholic school. I was shy. Even though I did get, you know, in the neighborhood, I was a kid in the neighborhood. Yeah. But when it came to school and things like that, I was very quiet, very timid. A couple of times I got marked absent just because the teacher would call my name, and I was just so quiet. She wouldn't even hear me, you know, like, I'm here, you know. Very shy, yeah. Very, very shy. And rock, burning at the time, rock, the music, just begun, you know, James Brown, all that. That helped me to grow. That music helped me to get out of that little shell, that timidness, and helped me to become sort of what, you know, the person I am today. You know?
What was your first time you can remember seeing rock, or even if there was dance being done before that in the neighborhood? What was your first memory of that?
Well, and I've shared this several times, but first time I heard about this, well, before I jump into that, right? Eddie Puma.
DJ Eddie Puma.
Yeah. Which is Manny and Diana's sister from Dynasty Rockers, you know. He was in a band. He used to sing. And a lot of times they would play like Long Train Running. And I was just telling him about that, because that song came out in '73, which kind of proves a little bit of my time when I first learned it, because when that song came out, we used to do burn moves to that song. So Eddie, when he would go practice, we would sit there and do drum things, you know, and guitar, and we would do all this all day, every day. Even before we knew about rocking, we just followed the band. You know, one of his favorite songs that he sang was Bad Luck, Bad Luck. And so that's what we did. Then Eddie, older, ventured out, and I think he was in Coney Island, and he went there several times. I think that's where he saw it at. And he came back, yo, there's this new style of dancing where you just do like burn moves, you know, you hit guys with your, and you hit them with the hammer, you shoot them. He started explaining all this, and I found it interesting, you know. And then he started describing the songs and the music that they were playing at the time. So I asked to borrow Just Begun, Listen to Me, and Give It Up, Turn It Loose. And again, I didn't dance, I didn't do none of that, but I was good with this, you know what I mean? And remembering that you always, you know, rock on the beat. So I took those songs up to my sister's house, and when nobody was around, I would play the songs, and I would just act the fool, you know, I would just do all kind of stupid things and trying to figure it out, and it wasn't a whole lot of dancing. It was more just like burning, going down, you know? And I started doing it there. Diana was my comfort zone. With her, I was comfortable, and with her, I would bug out. Say, yo, check this out, check this move I did. And, oh, that was cool, whatever. And then it was Eddie Figueroa Sr., Eddie Puma's dad. He had a birthday in a little club. We celebrated his birthday. I went there, everybody was there, having a good time. They played a rock song. I don't remember which song, but they forced me to go dance. And I was nervous, I was scared. But I said, yo, Diana, you come with me. So Diana was in front of me. You know, she was doing her thing, you know, I could see her shoulders moving, and I started moving with her. But from being so nervous at one part of the song, I did shoulder shakes, and they came out so hard because of my trembling. I was like, and everybody started yelling and screaming, and that built my confidence right there. That was it. And right after that, again, I don't remember this, but Eddie Poomer reminded me. He says, do you remember the first time you stood in front of somebody to battle? I said, I don't. He said, well, you was dancing against this guy, and he was smoking you. He was burning the shit out of you. And I threw you out the way, and I jumped in, and I started battling the guy. I said, I don't remember none of that, man. But he says, yeah, that did happen. So that was your first time I got smoked.
So the way you described that, the cipher or whatever it was at that time, it seemed more
Apache lines.
Apache line.
Yeah, that was our cipher.
That's the way it was done back then when you first got into, when you went to the parties, when you went to the schoolyards, it was done, everything was more done in the Apache line framework?
Yeah. Another thing was that, like I told you, I used to hang out with JR, Benji, Jose, you know, Eddie, and, you know, that was our little clique. We had a baseball team called the Swingin' A's, and we played a lot of softball. But then we went out to Jefferson Street, not Jefferson Avenue, Jefferson Street, and we played these guys football. They kicked our ass. But those guys was Ray, was Vincent, was Jaime, was Eric, and I got to know them. I started hanging out with them. And hanging out with them, we became close. We became good friends. Terry and Ray lived on the first floor there on Jefferson, and that became like our spot, you know. We also used to go to this old man's house called Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray was old, he was alone, and we would all go hang out there. He would let us smoke weed and drink and stuff, and he just loved to play chess. So I used to sit down with him, and he would teach me how to play chess, whatever, but he loved the company, you know. But we used to go in the back room, we would just all hang out and do our slow jam dancings and stuff like that with the girls. Yeah. It was really good times, man. And that's when I started to take in the dance a lot more. You know, I started taking in a lot more. And then this guy Rican used to bring his equipment, just a little setup, and he would start jamming. And through him is where we started learning all the songs. So, yo, this song, that, and he just laid it out for us, man, you know, starting with Rock Creek Park, you know, and
classics.
Yeah, Willie Chase and all those joints, man, Expansion, my headstand, just thinking about it, man. So through him, we got more knowledge, music-wise, yeah.
And at that time, so are you just kind of moving along with your friends, keeping in the neighborhood, learning as you're going along?
Yeah, learning as I went along.
When does Dynamic Spinners come in? What was the early formation of Dynamic Spinners? And can you speak a little bit about the history of the crew and who was in the crew? Yeah,
well, when the music started to get more popular, the rocking and stuff, and the hustle, because the hustle was
we have to talk about that.
The Latin hustle and stuff. And they started playing in the parks. It was more playing in Putnam Park and Bushwick sometimes, more than any other places. To me, my memory was a lot of it was taking place there. Can't remember the guy's name that used to DJ, man. He played a lot in the parks, and I can't recall his name. But we started hitting the parks here and there and stuff. And then Rican started playing at this small club called The Joint, right? It was on Himrod and Myrtle, right there, a little spot. And we all started to congregate there. And you had a lot of guys from Halsey, from Putnam, that area down there of Knickerbocker. They would come to Himrod, we would go here. A couple of the people that were in the middle, like Stanhope and Stockholm, they would, that was the rock spot. It became the rock spot. they had the Red Light and a couple other clubs, the Garden and stuff, which was cool. We used to go there and stuff, but hard rock was in that spot. And if you never went there and you didn't know about it, it's because you wasn't there. You wasn't in that part of that era. And this is the era before any crews were out. No crews. But there was fame in the sense of your name.
Neighborhood notoriety.
Yeah, neighborhood notoriety. Yeah, good word. People, like, when I was learning more and more, and I felt I was getting better, I would hear about Little Dave, you know, Little Eddie, and then there was blonde hair Little Eddie. There was two Eddies. There was Pappy. There was T. We called him T. I think his name was Tito. That he was good, man. He was really good. He died. I don't know how. I think he OD'd, but anyway. And there was this other kid that came down with him. This was a whole little posse that used to come down, and we would battle and make these Apache lines for hours, bro. We would dance 5, 6, 7 songs. We'd come out of there all dusty and sweaty, but we were killing. You know what I mean? Rican always knew how to start the music off, and a lot of time he started with Rock Creek Park.
Yeah.
Once you heard Rock Creek Park, you know rock
nice.
music was coming next. Before that, it was just a lot of hustle music, you know. But I want to say right before 75, maybe like late 74, Rican gave me my first mixer. He said, yeah, I got a new mixer, blah, blah. So it was just knobs. So then I got that, I bought a turntable. Then I bought another turntable. Then little home speakers, you know, just little setups. And I started learning how to mix and play songs. I started buying records and all that. When I started doing that, between Vincent and all the other guys, we started, you know, getting our music together. And we started playing, became DJs, so to speak. And then I started playing in the parks. At this point, we started out and we came out as Touch of Class. We had brown shirts with white letters that said Touch of Class. And it was basically more for DJs name, but because we rocked, you know, we did both.
Yeah.
But when we came out with Touch of Class and we made our shirts over there in Cactus, Knickerbocker, right after that, Touch of Rock made their shirts, and they came out with Touch of Rock. Touch of Class, Touch of Rock, and it's like, so when we did that, it's like, look, man, we should change our names because one, we don't want guys out there, because when we started seeing the crew things developing, we like, we don't need people to start calling us Touch of Ass, you know, or plus it's close to Touch of Rock now, so I said, yeah, let's do that. So the word dynamic, it always kind of stuck with me, you know, being a person who is dynamic in different things and you know, different skills. And then, believe it or not, I had a record, Eddie Puma was with me, and I was like, Spinners, the group, Spinners.
The actual band?
The group.
Spinners.
Yeah, the Spinners. And I'm like, well, DJ spin music. So I was like, yo, that's it, man. Dynamic Spinners. DJ crew, you know, and that's how we came up with the name. I went back to the guys and yo, let's go by Dynamic Spinners, man, and they were good with that. So I remember it was a summer. They all gave me money. I went to Cactus. We bought the shirts, and at that point he hung up our shirt, you know, up on the thing.
On the thing, yeah.
Yeah, the guy at the store. And I remember, I don't know if he put up the Touch of Class one. But I do remember Buzz telling me that when he went into Cactus, he said, we want to do that. You know, and he pointed at our shirt. So that's how we came up with the name Dynamic Spinners. And in the crew, we were just tight friends, man. We were just tight. And we were all growing. We're teenagers. We're learning. We're starting to be able to start drinking and smoking. You know, once in a while, we would take a little acid and stuff and trip out together, you know, have a good time and stuff. We would go to the joint, man, after taking like a half a tab of acid, man, and just bug out and just rock like crazy. So within those initial guys, it was me, Vincent, Ray, Eric, Jamie, Sal, JR. It was just 7 of us. And then Tom Bum, he's in Texas now. Tom Bum became a member. And then later on, as far as DJing, DJ Gill, he just passed away, rest in peace. He got down with us as dynamic spinners as a DJ. And me and him battled one time in St. Barbara's, against, I can't remember his name, but he was a highway patrol guy, you know,
Okay.
state trooper. He was a state trooper.
At that time, battling you?
Bad time. No, he wasn't DJ battle. Yeah, he had money, man. Damn, what was the name? They had money. Their equipment, bro, they blew us out the water with the equipment. But we killed it as far as keeping the floor rocking. That's when good, that's when the initial scratching things started coming in, you know, and looping message, love is the message, you know.
Yeah.
We rocked it. He was playing like that club music stuff and nobody was dancing. I felt we should have won, but we lost. And it was like a 4-foot trophy like this, man.
Yeah.
A big record on it. I was so mad that day. I told him, yo, you could take the trophy home, but always remember when you look at it, that belongs to me.
Yeah, because trophies meant a lot back then.
Back then, it meant
like
a lot.
even shirts and trophies meant a lot back then.
It did.
So you named already a couple of spots: St. Barbara's, the Joint.
Yeah.
I've heard of places
The
like
Salsa.
the Salsa. I've heard of
Yeah.
places like Lynch Street, hooky parties. Can you talk about some of these places and what was the impact that these little spots had on the culture of rock?
Yeah. The thing with rock always was hearing that first song. Like I said, it was always a soft rock song. It was like a warm-up song. So a lot of times on a lot of these songs, this is a little bit of my dilemma with now. That you go into a rock battle, you got two guys going at it, and they play a song that for me was a warm-up song. And it's like, why are they playing this song in a battle, especially if it's like the top, 4? You know, why are they dancing to, like Expansion, let's say?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, you need something with a good break, because that, for us, was the beginning just to get us going. And it always ended up, whenever we rocked, and it was like, whether it's 10 songs, 15 songs, it always ended with James Brown, Baby Huey, and Just Begun. Those were the songs that ended it, even Get Ready, that fast song. Yeah. Those songs came to the end, Willie Chase, and Shaft in Africa.
Heavy hitter songs.
Yeah, those were like the build up to, the Give It Up, Turn It Loose. So a lot of times, like, oh, you guys are always playing the same song for the final. Man, that's how it was. That's how it was. So if you want to change the format of whatever songs you want to play for a final battle, that's cool. But at the end of the day, if you want to follow the structure of the original way we got down, those songs were the songs for the finals. You know what I mean? And then I also wanted to address a little bit real quick, Apache lines. Everybody says, and there may be some truth for this. Me, I never saw it, but to say that gangs were the ones who created rock to me, is not true.
Okay.
Apache line was simply a way we lined up. We just lined up that way. And because back then in the 70s, if this makes sense to you, it was the way of life back then was gang life.
Yeah.
There were gangs everywhere.
Gang life was neighborhood life because
Yeah.
the gangs were to protect the neighborhoods.
Right. And how did you get into a gang? You had to walk through an Apache line, initiation, right? They come, you boom, 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 they beat on you, you go through the line.
Famous movie, Education of Sonny Carson.
Okay.
It took place at Fort Greene Park. When you went through the line, they were hitting him with the belts.
Yes,
and-
yes,
Okay.
yes. I remember that scene too. So that being done out there as a way of life, so to speak, and because of the fact that we lined up the same way, got the name Apache Line. It's called Apache Line because this was a gang way of life, or gang dance. It wasn't. If there were gangsters getting down, because gang sites life started to drift a little bit. And a lot of them did get into dancing and DJing. You know, there was a lot of the dirty ones that opened up clubs. They were DJing, you know. I
transitioned.
Yeah, I used to hang out tough with one of the dirty ones, and he kind of helped me build a little bit more of my music and everything. But he also ripped me off. You know, he brought me into this club, said, "Yo, this guy's opening up a club. You know, we're gonna be the first ones. You know, you're gonna be the DJ." And I was like, "Cool." So we went Friday night. I set up, played. Not many people showed up. So he's like, "Yo, don't worry about it. You know, tomorrow will probably be a better night. You can leave your equipment here, whatever." Next day we go, my equipment was gone. All my music, crates and crates of songs you couldn't even find in stores anymore. But he never admitted it, you know what I mean? But it was a setup. About 2 or 3 years ago, I ran into Jamie, dynamic spinner. He says, "Yo, remember they stole all our shit?" He goes, "Yeah." So I saw him. And I asked him, "Was that really you that did it?" He goes, "Yeah, I ripped you guys off." So he admitted to it.
Wow.
But you know,
karma will have its way.
Yeah. But hey, things happen. You know, we were young and stuff. But you know, so as far as like Apache lines, man, that was just the way we addressed the music. That's how, you know, it just naturally came about. You know, we Dance Against You. We're here. Oh, you want to dance? Yeah. And we just lined up, man.
Yeah.
You know. That's my interpretation. Again, I don't know what happened in Coney because I didn't go out there much. I don't know who was doing it out there. I know I've been to Coney, but I never ran into dancing out there. I never got
So, Alpha, you saying that because I think the perception is that the early rockers were gang members, or the majority of them. Did they have a major influence, or would you say it was more so just the influence of them being in the neighborhood alongside of?
To me, in my opinion, rock, burning, gang life just came hand in hand. It was just two things.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of collaborated a little bit towards the end because I lived on Star Street in Wilson, and you walk to the corner of Central, and that's where the rebels hung out. All of them were there. I knew a bunch of them. I knew the leader back then was Blue Eyes. At the time of that year, he was the leader, you know, of the rebels. There was a guy, Red. He was with this girl named Sereda. Sereda got pregnant by him. He got locked up. Sereda started coming to the joint. She loved to hustle. And this is things that happened to me, sorry. It turns out that the owners of the joint were the nephews of my sister's husband, right? So they owned the joint, and she told them, "I'm pregnant from Red, but I'm gonna get that guy right there to be the father." Dude, this girl would grab me.
Was that guy you?
Me, yeah. She would take me, she would love always dancing with me, always hustling with me. She would literally drag me in the bathroom, make out with me, all this kind of stuff. Finally, you know, we hooked up, we started going out. She says, "I'm pregnant." And at first I kind of believed it, but the two owners of the joint, and I can't remember their names, man, so, but they said, "Aren't you Hilda's brother?" I said, "Yeah, Hilda's my sister. He's married to Cisco." And he goes, "Cisco is my uncle." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, listen, just so you know, she is trying to get you to be the father of our kid, blah, blah, blah." This whole thing, man. So, well, and what I'm trying to say, I was kind of a little, not interactive with the rebels, but I knew them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I never ever seen them rocking in the corner, man. I never seen, the only thing I can think of, just them bugging out, you know, just grabbing each other's ass and, "Yo, you ain't fat," you know. I could see that happening, but I don't see that as, I never seen them rock. No, none of them. And I don't know, what's this guy's name now? Ralph?
Papo Love?
No, the guy from the Rebels.
From the dirty from the.
He was supposed to be later on became president of the Rebels. I don't know. Anyway, he keeps bringing him up as him being one of the influencers and getting his approval to do this and that, and that to me never happened. I don't know. Yeah. You know, again, I wasn't everywhere. I don't know everything, but I can tell you what I know as far as Bush is concerned. You know, I don't know what went on in the Bronx, But I do know a couple of guys that came to Bushwick from the Bronx, and we interacted. Yeah, but
And that's what I want to kind of history is said. It says that people were dancing, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, all over New York City.
Yeah.
But then this big subgenre culture called breaking explodes in the late 70s, early 80s into the mid 80s.
Yeah.
While this is going on, rock is prevalent in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
Were you starting to travel to the different areas and boroughs? Were you getting a taste of some of that stuff coming down from the Bronx? You just mentioned people from the Bronx coming to Brooklyn, cohabitating with you, vibing with you. When did you start kind of noticing, wow, there's something else kind of going on too?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? Rock, when it started getting into like 78, 79, it was fading a little bit. Okay. Except with the crews. The crews were still doing their thing. But right now I'm 61, I'll be 62 in 2 months, right? So if you ask a lot of these crew guys that are still around, and you ask them how old they are, most of them are gonna be between 4 to 6 years, maybe 7 years younger than me, right? So here, if I'm, let's say 16, these guys are like in their 13 and they're starting their crew thing. I felt, I was older than them. It was like, I was here, they were here.
It's like high school to junior high school.
Yes, yes. So, Jerry and I, we started to shift off a little bit. But what brought freestyle to Brooklyn, to Bushwick, I played a big part in that. And by saying that, it was because I went to Starship, and this was, like I said, a little later into the late 70s. Went to Starship. Oh, prior to that, my bad. We used to go to the salsa a lot as well. And you had these two guys, Negro and Joey. These two guys, they came from the Bronx. And they had that Frank Rojas style of moving, that moving the feet and going in a circle stuff. The way he dances, they would do that. And Vincent knew them a little better, and we would hang out in the salsa, and they would do little routines together, And I was like, that's cool, I like that. Vincent liked it a lot. He started picking it up. I found it a little too simple, too soft, you know what I mean? So whenever they did something where, like they say, they did something like this, I took it and hit it a little harder. So I added more of a bounce to that style, and I took it and at the Starship, they were having a competition there for a trip to the Bahamas and a trophy. And so I told Sammy Lugo, I said, yo, they're having this thing out there, we should get down and do something. He was down. We would go to Gil's basement, DJ Gil. We would go down there, we came up with a routine. We went to the Starship, and we entered, we won, and we made it to the finals. When we made it to the finals, him and I, we created a better routine with bits and pieces of breaks, you know what I mean? Just the breaks. And then we did the shirt thing where we took our shirt off, and we had the Starship t-shirt underneath, and we did this really dope routine. And when we did it, Marine Boy and Frank were in it.
They were in the routine?
They were in the finals.
Okay.
They were in the finals. And that's when I first heard about the Latin symbolics and all that other stuff. So we had not seen them make it to the finals. All the people were telling us, you just got to beat them. And we were like, whatever. We just went and we did our thing, man. We got loose. We won. We took first place. When the whole internet thing came out, they sent me a video with Marine Boy talking shit about me and Sammy. He started saying they were doing this gay stuff, and it was a whole thing. I think that video is still out there. So I responded back to him, and it became a thing. But that's when I kind of drew into freestyle.
Freestyle.
Yeah, and I started leaving the rock and the jerks and all that stuff. I put it over here, we started freestyle. Sam and I, after that happened, Sam's head got like this, you know, and he's like, "Oh, you ain't shit without me." And I'm like, "Man, you crazy, bro." Anyway, one word, another word, here and there. I said to him, "Look, man, you do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing." I said, "But I will show you who is the best." I told him, between him and I, playing baseball against the wall, you know, pitching in with the stick. You got the wall as a strike zone. I saw JR getting down for the first time. I said, "Yo, do that shit again, man." He said, "Yo," I told him, "Look, man, later on, let's hang out and let's try to do a little something together, man." He said, "Bet." And we started practicing. So since he didn't really know how to dance, and what he learned how to do, he learned from watching me, that he moved just like me.
Okay.
Everything he did, if you looked at him and you looked at me, it's like, fuck, you guys have the same exact style.
Yeah.
Which is what I see a little bit with the Code Assassin crew from Canada.
Yeah.
And I'm bad with names, bro. But anyway.
There's a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, but them two have a lot of similar style with each other, which I kind of like. But then me and JR started practicing, and we came up with our first routine with King Tim III, the very first rap song. The song, King Tim III. That was the very first rap song. So we did a routine to that, and we went to St. Barbara's, and we won. After that, we started doing more routines. You know, we did SWAT, we did Shaft in Africa. You know, we did one with Willie Chase to that song. We never showed that one, but we just, every event that they had in St. Barbara's, man, we used to win all of them. And this is a true story, and Mike from Dynasty Rockers, he remembers, but this is no lie, bro. People will let's put their names on this paper for the contest. We will put our name, and no shitting you, man, people will erase their names off.
Under you? So
they would just get out. They won't even bother. Yeah, man. And there was times where nobody else wanted to get in. I used to tell Mike, grab anybody, just go do some kind of routine just so we can do our shit, you know, and have a contest. That happened quite a few times, man. But then people kind of tired of us. We danced against, again, I don't remember names, but they were young kids and they beat us, you know what I mean? Damn. They beat us, but a lot of people turned around and said to them, "Y'all only won because y'all look cute in your outfits and everything." Okay. He says, "But y'all weren't better, you just won because of that." But we lost, and then I think we lost again. There was one time after that DJ battle, there was another contest. We got in, and they called it a draw, but I had popped my knee. And I was like, how the hell are you gonna call that a draw? And the thing, one of the judges there was also the judge for the DJ battle. And when we lost the DJ battle, I had words with him. We argued. So that because I was mad. It's like I felt we should have won because we were killing the flow. We didn't have the sound. All right, we give you the sound system, you know, but we did, you know, get the people flowing and dancing and jamming. We threw rock songs in. We did our thing. Anyway, so I had words with him. He was a judge for this other thing, for the rock battle, and they called it a draw. And I told him, I said, this shouldn't have been a draw, but whatever, man. But this guy here is not going to vote for me, I told them, you know. I said, because me and him had words prior to this. So I said, fucking, I danced again, and I blew my knee up. We lost, and then my moms took me to the hospital. They drained out some liquids out of it and everything, and that was my very first injury from back then.
Wow.
I don't know if I answered your question, but
yeah, you definitely did. Yeah. So from what you're telling me, it seemed like you were both active in the more raw part of rocking, of the burning, of the going to those clubs, and then you were more active, you were just as active in contests, routines.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what the differences are and which ones did you prefer? Did you prefer more like rock and roll in the parks and those parties, or did you prefer putting out something fresh with your partner and giving a show?
Yeah, that's a tough one, man, because rock is in my blood, man. I talk about my hair stand. I love rock. But freestyle gave me a chance to perform as opposed to just battle somebody, you know. So, and another thing I want to address, a lot of times people doing interviews saying, I'm not a rocker, I'm a freestyler. But the reason why they say that is because they came in to know who I was when freestyle was big in Bushwick.
Okay.
And again, I played a big part into bringing freestyle routines to Bushwick because nobody was doing it. You know, me and Sam did it in the city, and then me and JR started doing here. Crazy Rob, you know, was doing his jams and Say Barbers, and we went in there one time and saying we busted out a routine. You know, everybody's like, yo.
No one was doing that at the time.
Nobody was doing it, right? So for them to say I was just a freestyle rock, it's because they weren't there in 73, 74, 75 when it was just rock. You know, when it was burning, when not even the jerk was present. The jerk came like a little later on. Who created it? I don't know. How did it get its name? I don't know. The only thing I do know is that this one cat, Booby, from the Dirty Ones, had one of the best jerks I've ever seen, bro. Ever seen. This guy's jerk was so strong, bro. And he was a big guy who'd be cut up and stuff. He was a little bow-legged. And that's where I got this from. This?
Yeah.
He would do that. He would do that. And when he threw that jerk, if he was here, he winded up down there. So
it was like a wind-up type of jerk.
Yeah,
like
he used to wind up and then hit that boom, 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 that whole break. But when he went out, he went forward. And that's why a lot of times when I first came back into the scene, I said, yo, when you jerk forward. Always jerk forward. Don't jerk back or jerk in the spot. You jerk forward. So what I used to do with him was I would say, come on, man. And I would try to keep up with him. You know? Keep up. And that's how I built my jerk, you know. And that's why still to this day, at my age, I hit my jerks hard as hell, man. Mm-hmm. And I always say, when you're jerking, you got to jerk hard, man. You know what I mean? If you're doing a little showcase and you do a little soft jerk, because I do those too. Yeah. Yeah. But when you're battling, man, if you're not going in hard, then don't even bother to throw a jerk, man. Don't even bother. Because if you're going to throw one of those flimsy little back jerks or half a jerk, like I see a lot of people doing that half stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you see that one right there? That's great information right there.
Now, just so you understand something, two different things in jerking. When you are showcasing, you're doing a full jerk all the way down. When you're battling, you may not want to go all the way down because then you're going to get hit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So then there you can shorten your jerk just to be there, you know, be up to do stuff. But if you're jerking like this and go down, you're gonna get hit, boom, you know, because your face and your head.
Right there, you're already there.
Right. So battling wise, you don't need a full jerk, but you need to hit them hard. But if you're showcasing and you're doing a video, or if you're a judge and you come out and you do these little half-ass jerks, don't do them. Go all the way down, boom. Jerks are always all the way down.
All the way down, you heard it there. Yep. So you're doing your thing, the 80s rolls in, we know the story, the Wild Styles come out, the Beasties come out. It seems like the spotlight goes from, you know, New York City as a whole, as a culture, to the Bronx. And then that gets shuttled to the city because all the big clubs are there, the Roxy's, this one, that one. Yeah. What were you doing in that time? And when all that's happening, how are you taking that? Are you wanting to be a part of that? Yeah. Are you wanting to audition for these things?
I did. Yeah. So, well, I didn't quite audition, but when I first saw breaking, it was when I saw the Rocksteady guys, right? And the New York City Breakers.
Was it in person or was it like a clip?
Yeah, clips and stuff like that. I did see a lot of them, but it's more of incredible rockers, dynamic rockers.
Dynamic rockers in Queens.
No, incredible rockers, right?
Incredible breakers.
Chino
Brian,
Chino and them, yeah. Them I used to see at the Fun House, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Chino because I kept asking, does anybody remember the guy with the long hair, little short guy? His windmills were like the best windmills I ever seen, man. They were so fast. They were so smooth. It almost looked like he was levitating, man. Oh my God, he was so good. And I think it was him. So I used to watch them a lot there at that spot. But then I tried to do it, but I couldn't. You know, I don't know, my arms are too short, small hands. But I just didn't have that right leverage to do the footwork and all that. So I tracked it into the popping, you know?
Okay, to the boogie.
Yeah, and I got it pretty good. I was pretty good, you know. It's hard for me to pop now because of my condition, but like I can't pop my chest, you know, I can't hit that. But my arms, I can still hit my arms, you know. So, and waves, you know, and I had beautiful glides, man. I would do the whole tippy toe thing, you know, spins on my toes.
You wore the white gloves
ballerina
too?
I wore the
White gloves, yep.
Yeah, I actually, at one time at the fun house, they took a picture and it turned out that they were putting it in Newsweek magazine for the breaking. The front page was breaking, you know, the movie, B Street.
Yeah.
They had the main character kid on doing a head spin on the front cover. But if you open it up to the section right before you start reading the article, it was a full page of me kind of like doing this whole thing like this, you know?
And this is in a magazine?
Yeah. Newsweek magazine. That was in the fun house. Right after that, the guy came over and said, hey, I want to do a set, you know. I want you to come to the club. Nobody's going to be here during the day. I want you and two girls. And I want to just take photos. So I was, you know, doing my stuff. And I used to do these dives, you know, and then go into a roll. And he took a lot of pictures. Never stood in contact with the guy. He said, yo, I'm going to do a show at a club. Come by so you can see what I did today. You know what I mean? He was doing it up on a big screen. I never went, you know. Still to this day, I keep saying, I'm going to try to see if the guy's name is on the article. To see if I could search him.
Search him and get those photos, right?
Yeah. But who knows? This was like over 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But so another thing that really drew me into the popping was a lot of these cats from California. Because Cali was doing their thing a lot with popping.
Yeah.
So that's where it became more of an attraction to me.
Because at that point, people are traveling.
Yeah.
The scene is, I mean, the New York City scene is lit. Everyone's here. You're seeing different people, different.
Yeah.
What to you stood out in that era of, let's say, 80 to 84, of that, all of that coming to this energy, coming to this?
Well, what drew me even more was a lot of the floor stuff. You know, right now, breaking is combined to a lot of stuff, right? Now there's floor, there's gymnastics, there's flips, there's handstands and all this. It wasn't like that initially. It was, you know, you did your footwork on top rock, a little cover, go down and you rock. Meanwhile, on the dance floor over here, people were doing that floor stuff, the handstands, the dives in the air and landing like 2 inches from the floor with your legs in the air. You know, doing all that kind of stuff. And I was good at that. I used to kill ciphers in there, man. And later on now, I see it's all combined. So that started drawing me. I started liking that. And I added the popping to it, you know, at the same time. And what I really loved when it came to the whole breaking scene was watching Ken Swift. Ken Swift to me was the man. Not anybody else. You know what I mean? The whole Rocksteady crew. Anyway, I did a couple of shows, competitions actually at Pace University.
Okay.
Every year they would have a competition. I went the first time and I won first place popping, right? I had the white windbreaker jacket, the gloves, the glasses. I did the whole cigarette trick, blowing out the smoke, you know, and I had some really dope glides. So I took first place. The following year, I got in again. I took second place, but this time I brought this young kid with me. He had really long hair, like Indian hair, and he was like this, but he was good, you know what I mean? And every time he moved, his hair went with him. So anyway, I got a box. I wrapped it up like a gift. I put the little dolly underneath. I had it against the wall. He was in it. So when I was dancing, I went to the wall, I brought it out, I opened the box, I took him out, and he went to the floor. I winded him up. I stepped back, and I let him get loose, bro. And he killed it. But we took second place. following year, I went into the same contest, but hustling this time. I did a couple of sweet things, lifts and stuff. I just got an honorary mention. I didn't win. Long story short, when I was at the front house, female manager, she was a female, I don't know her name, but she was the manager, I think at the time, for the New York City Breakers.
Okay.
She saw me. She asked me if I wanted to be down with the crew, and I was like, hell yeah. So then I said, at Pace University, I'm good with the guy from the AV department. We can record and stuff. She said, that'd be great. And so she came with, the New York City Breakers. We were in a room, and at that time I had done a routine with an umbrella. But you know how people go like this and they go back?
Yeah.
But what I used to do, I used to swing the umbrella and make the umbrella pop out inside out. And then I would put it like it's pulling me.
It's pulling you.
Which gave it better effect.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're watching this, and Wade, right? He's New York City Breakers, right?
Yep.
He's like, his popping is not that great, but those freaking glides are so dope. So he really admired my glides. So we couldn't record. The school didn't approve of it, the university. So the guy who at the AV said, yeah, I'm sorry, man, they're not letting me, So yeah, that's cool. So they said, look, they're having this event somewhere in the Bronx or Manhattan. Come on, meet us there, whatever. So I showed up, and as I'm walking through the door, I see Ralph standing there. He says, oh shit, what are you doing here? And I really didn't know Ralph, but he knew who I was, and I knew he was from Bushwick. So I said, well, what's up, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm down with New York City Breakers. Oh shit, yeah. But
Back then?
back then,
In 80 what?
I couldn't tell you the
81,
year.
82? But just
Yeah,
in the
give
early
or
80s.
take, 81, 82. Let's say between...
So this is King Uprock, Ralph Casanova.
Yeah.
He was affiliated with the New York City Breakers.
Oh, I don't know if he was, but he was at the event.
Okay.
And when I walked through the door with them, he was standing at the door, and he saw me, and he said, what's up? And I explained to him, yeah, well, they asked me to get down with them. But believe it or not, that moment I said, what's up to him, that's all I remember. So I don't remember the whole event. I don't remember nothing from there, but I know that from that day, I never continued to be part of the crew. So pretty much you could say I never was down with them,
Yeah.
but I was asked to be, but nothing happened, if that makes sense.
And I assume this is prior to them being in that movie.
No, this is right after.
Wow.
So whenever the movie, what year the movie came out, 84, 85?
Yeah.
That's when that took place.
Wow.
And with the movie, I didn't know when auditions initially first started, but then when I started hearing about it, a lot of times they were having auditions for certain things. It was always when I was at work. And I would tell my boss, yo, man, let me leave a little bit. Because I worked at the mailroom at Pace University. It was like 5, 6 of us. And they were like my influence in getting better. Because they would say, yo, show us. And I said, yo, look, I learned this shit, and I would show them. And plus I entered the contest at the university, at the same time. Yeah, the dean fell in love with me, man. He thought I was amazing, So he actually had me perform at a big dinner that they had. So, but he wouldn't let me leave. I said, yo, I'll come right back, man. You leave, you're fired, shit like that. Yeah. So then there was one time, it was like the last day they were recording. I said, dude, let me go. He's like, go ahead. When I got there, they were just letting extras in. I got in there as an extra, and I managed to just simply be in the scene towards the end when Ramon died, that they did a whole choir thing, right? And then these guys...
And then the Furious were performing the song at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Rocksteady came out and they started doing it.
Yeah.
I was in the crowd. Now, I'm like not trying to get to the front of the stage. I just stood where I was at, thinking you would see me. But the way they edited everything, it looked like there was like 1,000 people in there, and it wasn't.
It does look like this. It looks like that place was packed.
It was maybe 100, and if it's 100 is a lot.
Yeah.
It could have even been 50, but it wasn't, but. So when I watched them, I was like, fuck, you can't even see me. So You know, it's just my word against my word because, but that's, you know, as far as I got.
That's as far as
that.
so
Yeah.
all these movies are coming out. You're just kind of in the mix, however you could be.
Yeah.
Whether it's knowing about it, whether you know someone that was in the movie,
Yeah.
auditions, but you just kind of. So the '80s, the way they talk about it is kind of like after that movie, things kind of started going downhill in terms of dance being prevalent in New York
Yeah.
City, crews being all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of people, unfortunately, succumbed to drug addiction.
Yeah.
People went on to go just live a normal life, go get jobs,
Yeah.
Job Corps, military.
Yeah. Well, I want to touch on that.